My name is McGinness, and I have a lot of things I want to show you, so I'm going to go through my slides really quickly. If there's something you want to see later, then just let me know and I can go back. But the purpose of this is just to kind of give you an introduction, an overview of some of the things that I've done. And what I like to do is work with symbols and icons. I'm really interested in how we represent the world around us on a flat two-dimensional plane. And furthermore, how we do that with very simplified forms. This is an image called I Am a Living Sign. And this is a project I did a couple years ago at Dice Projects in New York, where I created a mirror maze installation. And this is a maze about 8 feet high that you could walk around in that was lined with mirrors and had my drawings on the mirrors so that you could be caught in the middle of these infinitely replicating drawings. That's another thing I'm really interested in, is the fact that all my drawings and art exist as digital information, so there's no really one original, and the work can be materialized infinitely. So to illustrate that, I created this installation called Worlds Within Worlds. And when I do some of these larger exhibitions, I like to create a scale model, so I can kind of see how the project's taking shape and playing everything out. So something else I want to show you with all these slides is a little bit of the process that I go through. So this is a foam core model, and here you can see the paintings that were in the exhibition are represented just with flat color panels. And these are some of the paintings. These are about 4 feet by 3 feet. They are acrylic on linen. This is called Excuses and Curses. And this is a detail shot. Programmed to Receive. This is called Ambitious Outsiders. The Incredible Dust Collecting Machine. These are some preliminary sketches for another drawing here that's about parallel universes and multiple dimensions. This is a process sketch for this drawing. So my process includes coming up with thumbnail sketches and then revising the sketches and refining the drawings until they finally get scanned into the computer and cleaned up. So here you can see I'm going through the refinement process where I'm looking for just the essential forms and trying to find some geometric structure to the drawings. And in the end, I'll come up with multiple versions or multiple solutions to my drawings. In this case, there are 2 final drawings. And then the final drawings get incorporated into larger compositions. But everything really starts with these kind of simplified, iconic drawings. And everything comes down to this process of refining and revising. This is called The Lovers, the Dreamers, and Me. This is a rainbow connection. And then sometimes the images end up, or start at least, as kind of more or graphic or disturbing. This is a person being hung, and through the process of refining the image to get so abstract that at the end the original meaning is sometimes lost and it just kind of become more about shape and form. This is obviously a person lounging in a chair, just a lazy person. I'm trying to get the angle of the head right. And in this drawing, I'm trying to combine a whole bunch of different kind of naughty bits. So you kind of see breasts from the side and breasts from the front, and they also serve as testicles and buttocks, and then you have these kind of penises coming out from the top. And in the process of developing this drawing, kind of combining all of those, X-rated kind of symbols, I noticed that the drawing kind of wanted to be a Medusa head, so that's how it evolved. These pieces go back a few years. This is maybe 2000 or 2001. These are vinyl on, adhesive vinyl on vinyl material. These are about 4 feet by 3 feet. These are preliminary sketches for a piece called All My Life. And this is the final drawing, and then this is the final installation. These pieces are porcelain baked enamel on steel. They're the same kind of material that some of the early subway signs are made out of. So it's extremely durable, but it's also very fragile because essentially it's a glass surface. And so these panels are 4 foot square, and then in the middle, hanging down, just out of reach, are these headphones with an audio track with a loop. From an old Echo and the Bunnymen song called All My Life. It just says all my life, all my life, all my life. These are preliminary sketches and the final piece for a 3 foot square of vinyl on aluminum piece called Keep Honking Asshole, I'm Reloading. You can see a lot of white trailer trash imagery in there. These are sketches for a mural I did for an exhibition in 2000 called Vocabulary Test. This wall is about maybe 35 feet by 15 feet high. This is painted directly on the wall. This is a detail shot. And these are more of those porcelain baked enamel signs in this exhibition. These are all 4 feet by 4 feet by about 4 inches deep. This is cleanliness and godliness on the left, and I am a living sign on the right. That's on the right is a little person vacuuming this pyramid. This is POW, and then the difference between hope and prayer. And on the left, you can see some skateboards. I like to make 3 different kinds of skateboards. One, kind of hand-painted, one-of-a-kind skateboards. Then I also like to make limited edition boards, which are maybe like an edition of 3. And that's what's shown primarily here, perhaps a vinyl on blank skateboards. And then the third kind of skateboard I like to make are the mass-produced boards. That's an example here in the middle. These were produced by a company called Supreme Skateboard Shop in New York and Japan. And of course these are a parody of Pantone color swatches. And then I bolted all 5 together at the bottom so they fan out. And this is an example of hand-painted skateboards. This is a diptych. And this is an example of a more mass-produced board, silk screen in gold. And these are wood-burn boards. These go back to about, I think these are from 2000. And these are sketches and plans for an installation I did in 2002 at Deitch Projects called Dream Garden. And this was a 2-person show. I did this with an artist, Julia Chang, and she created the garden in the middle. This is a combination of high gloss latex paint on the wall and die cut vinyl. There's a lot of very surreal and absurd imagery in the work. And this piece in particular, this whole installation, Dream Garden, was about the border between reality and surreal, things that are more surreal and dreams and reality. And so the garden was made up of real plants and also fake plants. This guy's an artist because he has a beret. Dream Garden. There are a lot of different cultural references in the work, some from fine art and some from popular culture. Over on the left, you can see these Eames chairs, which I think look, in silhouette, look like these kind of lovebirds. Another thing I like to do with the work is explore extreme scale shifts. Here's an example of that. You back me up, you can see how large these details are. And that reflects this kind of fractal-based model of the universe, where things that exist at all these different, scales. This is a piece going back to 2000, and this was at a place called A Life in New York, and this is made up of 360 panels. Each of them is 9 inches by 12 inches. This is enamel on canvas board. And the piece traveled to Munich, Germany. And here you can see more of those porcelain enamel pieces. When I was making that mural, each one, like I said, is made up of individual canvas panels. I had them all scattered on my studio floor, and I really liked how the images became fragmented and abstracted. And so that led to me making this book. This was the second book I did, called Luxury Good. And these are just some of the individual panels, isolated and separated. And so the images become so abstracted that they become more about shape and form and color and composition. The book is actually printed in a silver metallic, and I just represent it here in black and white so you can actually see the images. This is the first book I did called Flatness is God, and I just have a few example spreads. The book was really about how we kind of represent the world around us on a flat two-dimensional surface. The image on the left is an old video game called Breakout, and so when it's represented on a page and paired with similar graphic symbols, it becomes kind of a breakout of breakout, kind of this meta breakout. This is a spread from another book called Vocabulary Test that accompanied that other exhibition. This is a spread from a book called Peace of Mind. It was the first time I was able to work with metallic ink, and this is gold metallic and black, and play with overprinting. And so you can see on the right-hand page where the black kind of is woven in and around the gold metallic. This is another book called Project Rainbow, where a lot of the details of the paintings were reproduced, and you only see these details. You never kind of see and zoom out and see the paintings in their entirety. I just wanted to have you kind of go into the paintings and kind of get lost in those worlds. And you can kind of see some of the paper and material that I'm painting on. There's chipboard on the right. And then this is a spread of painting on newsprint. You can kind of see the wave of the paper. And this is a book that came out last January called Multiverse. And in this book I used metallic blue and a clear gloss varnish. And you can really only see the clear gloss varnish images when you turn the pages in the light the right way. And again, this book was called Multiverse and accompanied an exhibition I did in Paris, also called Multiverse. And here, obviously, we're setting up and installing the show. That piece in the middle is a 15-foot square hand-woven wool rug. This is a better shot of that. These are soccer balls in the middle that I produced last fall. And on the sidewalls are die-cut vinyl. Oh, and this is a better shot of the soccer balls. This is an exhibition called Evolution is the Theory of Everything, and this was from 2001. This is vinyl on aluminum panels. They're about 3 foot square. And then this is 2004, a few years later, and you can kind of see the evolution of the work where it's getting kind of more layered and more complicated. And these are more singular ideas, or one analogy I use in describing my work is to liken the development from representing maybe single words to developing. The words are combined into sentences, sentences get combined into paragraphs, the paragraphs start to form a narrative, and then that paragraph gets chopped up, like in style of Dada or Christian Sara, or maybe William Burroughs, and are recombined, and so you get these kind of these new reads on the images. This is a detail of that shot. This was in University of Toronto. We used that same material for a project that Creative Time produced in New York out at Coney Island. They invited a bunch of different artists to go out and work with the arcades and games and create signage for them. This is a painting from 2001. This is about 24-inch square, acrylic and enamel on wood panel. Same with this painting. This painting is called Destiny versus Ambition, and this is about 6 feet by 5 feet. This is called Glory Hole. It's 4 foot square. Now, this is from 2004, and you can see the images are really getting so fragmented and abstract, and they create, these kind of like meta shapes or meta symbols. This obviously being a ring and a wreath, and so that the paintings become less about the individual kind of discernible images and more about the overall composition. This piece is called. This was titled Ian Curtis for about 3 days, and then it changed to Substance. This is 6 feet by 5 feet, and the composition was inspired by the New Order album titled Substance. They came to see who came. Again, 6 feet by 5 feet. This is acrylic on linen. This is Otaku Suicide, same dimensions and material. A detail. This is semiotics versus metasemiotics, and this is about 8 feet wide. This is Love Singularity. It's hard to see in some of these reproductions, but I also use car paint as a background. And so this blue really shimmers and it changes color from depending on what angle you see the painting. These are preliminary sketches for the piece that's actually in the Beautiful Loser show. And you saw these shots earlier. These are individual paintings that are hanging on the left-hand side. So this is a combination of latex paint, metallic vinyl, and then paintings that hang on top. This was at the Contemporary Art Center in Cincinnati. These are preliminary sketches for an installation I did in Madrid last year. The show was called Living Signs. The painting on the left is Critique of Pure Reason, and there are a couple of works on paper on the right you can see. And they kind of get integrated into this mural made up again of latex and vinyl. This is detail from an installation I did at a law firm called Oric in San Francisco earlier this year. Again, same idea of combining these paintings that hang on top of these painted and vinyl images that are directly on the wall. And this is a sketch for a mural I did at Mass Art 2004. This is 35 feet by 15 feet. And you can kind of start to see here some of the images being contained in these circles. And the containment of the individual drawings in these circles led to me working with a circular picture plane. And so the paintings now that I'm working on are these circles. This is actually called Lavender Mist number 1 after Jackson Pollock. And so these are 4-foot diameter. Actually, this one is 6-foot diameter. This is called Once, and this is acrylic on linen. This is a little bit smaller, maybe 2-foot diameter. 30 inches diameter. And this is actually paper, acrylic on paper. This is an installation I did in La Jolla earlier this year. So these are paintings that hang on top of vinyl murals on the wall. This is the installation and preparation for my piece in Greater New York at PS1 MoMA this summer. The idea is still the same, where I'm creating these kind of painted images on the wall. And you can see the dashed blue outline with tape on the right where a painting would go, and that painting is actually this. It's the false fiction dilemma, and this is 4-foot diameter. And this is the final installation. That painting on the left, on the far wall, is 6-foot diameter, and it's the first donut painting that I created. And this is where for the first time, I'm actually punching through the picture plane and revealing the image that's on the wall underneath, so they become even more integrated. That piece in the Greater New York show was in a cafe area. So during the day, there are tables set out, and I wanted to extend my work into the kind of cafe concept and recognize it as a cafe. And so in order to do that, I created napkins and cups and placemats and coasters. And it was a way for me to wholly own the space. These are from Colette in Paris, maybe 1999. I like to make works on a whole range of price point range. For instance, one-of-a-kind paintings, and also kind of more accessible, mass-produced, open edition products. So we have skateboards and t-shirts, and these are mugs that were produced for that Evolution is the Theory of Everything exhibition in Tokyo at Parco Gallery. There's a couple more mugs. These are matchbooks. And sweaters. And I did a calendar for 2003. This was a daily calendar where there was a different drawing for each day. Shirts and bags. This bag is actually printed in metallic foil, and the pattern is made up of joystick icon. This is Andy Warhol wig.
Good.
So for the shirts, I'll make mass-produced shirts, and I'll get them manufactured. And sometimes I'll also paint directly on the shirt in the studio. This is an example of a combination of both, where the sleeve I had screen printed on professionally, and then in my studio I did kind of my sloppier version of silkscreen for the front. This is an exhibition, it's still up in Cincinnati, in a place called Publico. These are wall paintings. Over the past few years, my work has gotten a lot more complicated and layered. And now I'm kind of pulling back and concentrating just on the shape and form and individual drawings. And these in turn might get folded into the mix of my drawings. And so it kind of goes in cycles. This is a detail of a letterpress plate. I just finished a series of letterpress prints, letterpress monoprints, where each print is unique. So I just wanted to kind of show you some of the process of going through that. I'm rearranging the plates on the printing, the press bed. This is a little letterpress shop in Brooklyn called Curd Noir. And it's really just two guys, and they usually do smaller cards and business cards and things like that. And they also do artist prints, and they were really excited about this project, and it took about maybe 3 months, and then 3 all-nighters just in a row to actually go through the printing. We started with about 70 pieces of paper and ended up with about 8 good ones, just going through the process, because there are imperfections, and maybe one gets dropped or jammed in the press or whatever, so this is a detail shot. This is a preliminary sketch for an installation I have up right now at Deutsch Projects called Installation View. And so I started with this idea of taking these circular picture planes, circular panels and paintings, and wanting to kind of puncture the space and make these two-sided paintings. And so this was the very rough sketch, and started to make a model to try to visualize what this would look like and how it would look and feel to scale. So this is actually a foam core model. I'm not a model maker by any means, and so this is very rough, and it's just got hot glue and prints out papers, scotch taped together. But it's enough for me to kind of start to see how this is shaping up. And obviously these aren't paintings of dimensions. They're just to give me an idea of the dimensions of the paintings. They're actually, you'll see. So I had to figure out how to engineer this. I initially wanted to go back to this material, porcelain-baked enamel, that I had been using for some of the flat panels. But it proved to be way too heavy because these two-sided discs are cantilevered off about a 30-inch aluminum arm. So I used material, I used fiberglass, and I worked with this great fabricator in Seekonk, Massachusetts, to make these two-sided discs. And this is the first test. They also make, they fabricate all the sculptures for Keith Haring Foundation and Roy Lichtenstein. You can kind of see some of those in the background. So it was a very exciting environment for me to work in. The backgrounds were painted with an automobile paint, and then the images were silk screened on top with a boat paint. It's very toxic, and we went through about 55 gallons of acetone to clean the screens. This is in a large spray booth, which also served like a kiln of sorts, because this paint doesn't dry, it cures. So it's not necessarily a drying process. We have to turn up the heat in here. And this is where I painted the pieces. starting to install the actual exhibition. And these are the final pieces.
Can I ask a process question?
Sure.
Are all of these images ultimately yielded by overlaid stencils?
Yeah, I'm using a silkscreen process. And so they're all
For the
silkscreen.
paintings, or for whether they're on the wall, or?
Well, I'll back up and I'll show you. For the walls, we're creating kind of like a stencil. I'm drawing on the wall, and then we're using blue painter's tape to mask. We're kind of creating like a big stencil. And then just kind of paint by numbers, filling in. It's a little more involved. We're actually using blue painter's tape, cutting on the original drawing just to get a sharper edge with an X-Acto, using the background wall paint and creating like a little dam where we've cut. Otherwise you'll get paint that bleeds underneath the tape, and when you rip it off you can see those little edges. So in order to keep a clean, crisp, sharp edge, we use the background wall paint. And then using the color on top of that once that dries.
So how many people hours does it take to do that?
We only had a week to install this exhibition, and we had at times maybe 12 people working on this, at times just me, usually in the middle of the night. And yeah, for these paintings, they're silkscreen. And like I said, this exhibition actually comes down Sunday. This is the most recent project and installation I've done. So that gives you a little bit of an overview about some of the things that I've done. And if you have more questions, like I said at the end, feel free to ask.